You're watching Down Memory Lane with Mr. Joe Lartey, celebrated Ghanaian commentator. And today we are focusing on a great match between the Black Star team of Ghana and Real Madrid in August of 1962. Mr. Lartey, you're welcome. Tell us why this game was so important to you and to Ghanaians.
Well, you know, in those days, was for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He discovered the importance of unity, especially in politics. And he attended school in Achimota. He did a bit of sport, and he realized that football in particular has a very strong unifying force. So after appointing Ohinijan as director of sports for Ghana, he sometimes planned with him in some of the activities in sports that the director organized. So Kwame Nkrumah, well, maybe in solo, Kwame Nkrumah went solo in inviting Real Madrid to visit Ghana and play with the Black Star team. The idea was to show how far we've developed in football. We were then just beginning. We were beginning to show our strength in football. And so but there was a big there was a big debate whether it was proper at that time for the Black Star to play against a world-famous club side like Real Madrid. They were champions in Europe, and they were dreaded by opponents. So there was a big argument, a big national debate. Because Nkrumah wanted this thing to take place, the debate ended with the Black Star going onto the pitch to play against Real Madrid. And the match took place in August 1962.
Before you even talk about the match,
yeah,
I'm just curious, what was the reaction of Ghanaians to the arrival of Real Madrid to town? Who were some of the players on the Real Madrid team in 1962?
You know, people wanted to see Garincha. They wanted to see this Stefano. They wanted to see Puskas and a whole lot of other players in the team. And people went to the stadium hoping that they could catch a sight of some of these people. But arrangements were made to keep them out of trouble. The debate that preceded the match, whether it was proper for the Black Star, a national team, to play against a very strong club side. You know, they thought if we lost the match, if the Black Star lost the match, it will overshadow the progress that they were making in the field of football. But finally, Nkrumah made it sure that the match took place, and it was great.
Were you in commentary position for that match?
Yes, I was in commentary position. I had then joined GBC I was in my second year. And my boss was the late Colonel Festus Adai. Festus Adai was a very good fellow. He was in broadcasting, but he had a chance to go to the army, and he joined the army. He became the head of the Public Relations Directorate, you know, and he had a beautiful voice, velvet. I describe it as velvet voice. His command of the English language, exceptional. And I was with him in the commentary box on that day. The weather was bright, sunny day, and the stadium was packed. It was estimated at 40,000. Everybody wanted to see how the Black Star could perform and how we may lose or win the match.
And this was Accra Sports Stadium?
Yes, Accra Sports Stadium.
Okay, so tell us from the get-go, what happened?
Well, when the team assembled, we had people like Edward Akwa. He was playing number 10. Agrafin was playing number 8. Osei Kofi was then a player in the New Horizon. You know, but he played his first international match on that day. Osei Kofi, all the others. You know, it's a long, long time.
Yes, indeed.
But I remember some of them.
And when the game started, were we on the back foot? Was Black Star on the back foot, or we were attacking?
We went into the lead, 3-2, before the end of the match. When we entered into the dying minutes of the match, then there was a pass, a very clever pass from Osei Kofi, to Edward Akwa, and Akwa scored. The score then was 3-2 in favor of Ghana. You know, but when Akwa took that pass, he leveled up, and it was great. No, Edward Akwa got into the lead 3-2, and Di Stefano scored the equalizer.
The names you are mentioning, Di Stefano, Puskas, these are people who have awards named after them.
Oh,
Tell us, how big were these players in 1962?
They were very great. That's the way I can describe it. They were very, very great, especially the Real Madrid players. They had international fame, world fame, and they were the European champions at the time, and other clubs were afraid to meet them. This was the main reason why there was so much debate about the match with the SAR. They thought it wasn't proper, that the Black Star will be disgraced, and the fame that they had built will be eclipsed.
But it didn't happen. They were not disgraced, were they?
They weren't. They weren't disgraced at all. They played well, and they could have won, because the equalizer came in the dying minutes of the match.
Okay.
You know, the dying minutes of the match, and I can remember when the score was made, 3-3. The stadium was icy cold. Icy cold. Everybody was down. Black Star 3-3. We were almost winning the match. So everybody was down. The place was quiet, as if there hadn't been a football match there.
Was Asajofo in the stadium?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
He didn't attend. But I think he listened to the commentary at home.
How did you feel to be in commentary position for such a game, very historic game?
I felt very great. But that's why I'm sitting here. You know, after so many years, I still remember the occasion. Even the weather. I described the weather over and over again. Bright, sunny weather, fairly warm, and everybody was on his toes.
This is over 60 years ago.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that game that other commentators of our time can learn?
The most important thing that I learned, in a match of that nature, of that magnitude, as a commentator covering it, you have to do a lot of careful, thorough preparation. You should know the names of the players on the other side. You should know a bit of history about each of the players, what they had done in football. Then you should know about the management of the team. You should know about the matches, some of the matches they had played already, possibly the scores in those matches. I mean, you have to know a lot. a lot.
And this is not the day of the internet and access to information on your phone.
No.
Where were you getting all this information about Real Madrid and the football management?
You had to go and interview the team when it arrives in the country. Doing that means you should first you talk to the team manager of the arriving team, ask the names of the players, write them down, their positions, the positions they play. You should know that. Then you find a little bit of information about each player. For instance, you say Puskas, a married man, is a plumber by profession, that kind of thing. And this gives it lends interest to what you're going to do. It's no use just talking about the match, pronouncing, you have to get the team manager to teach you the correct pronunciation of the players. It's a big job. And I remember that in those days, I used to spend most of the weekend chasing team managers who had arrived in the country and trying to know a lot about the team, the players that they will be fielding.
Did you get a chance to speak to any of the players directly?
Yes, I did. I spoke to about 3 of them. Mm-hmm. I was interested in Garrincha very much.
The Brazilian player?
Yeah.
What was he like?
Oh, he was quite a nice gentleman, a little shy. When I spoke to him, I asked a few questions. I noticed that he was okay. He didn't want to talk a lot. So I left him alone. Mm-hmm. Garrincha.
Yes. And of course, he went on to win the World Cup in 1970 with Brazil.
Yeah.
What were the other players? Did you get to speak to Puskas?
I didn't. I didn't speak to Puskas, but I watched him.
Okay.
He was a guy who leveled up.
Yes. Indeed. And this time was, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was when it was radio. So this was radio commentary, is that correct?
Yes, it was only radio. 62.
Yes.
Television came 65.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
What are the challenges of radio commentary? What are some of the tips that you learned that you're going to pass on to the current generation, future radio commentators?
Well, commentary, one of the things that I learned and which I still value, commentary is not just a matter of shouting. It's not just a matter of describing. You need to do a lot more than mere describing, mere description of what's going on. You must have background information. We call it a human interest story. Human interest story. You must have a lot of it to enrich the commentary you're doing. Secondly, as a commentator, you need to be very sure of your health, your bodily condition. If, for instance, I met a few commentators who took to drinking. They thought alcohol could give them, it could give them courage, but it's wrong. When you drink, you take alcohol and get into commentary. If you are not careful, you break down. You break down completely. And when the event you are covering, when it gets really going, and alcohol is in you, you'll not be able to keep the pace. So you begin to say things that are not happening. You need to take care of your strength, the condition of your body, your health. If you are very careful, one of the things you do, watch what you eat before a commentary assignment. Watch what you eat before a commentary assignment. Some people, when they eat palm oil, it affects their voice. So you've got to watch. If you know that palm oil works badly on your voice, then you don't eat it before commentary assignment. again, you need a lot of strength. So you should sleep well before a commentary assignment. Don't run around with your friends in the night and sleeping very late and hoping that you will perform well on the following day. It doesn't work that way.
Very useful tips
Yeah.
for commentators.
These are the tips.
That you glean from your experience, your rich
You
experience.
should control your temper. You have to control your temper a lot. Sometimes you go for the team, the lineup of a team, and they're not willing to let you have it. You don't have to get angry and maybe insult the manager or anybody from whom you want the lineup. You've got to be patient, go again. You may go 2 or 3 times before you can get the lineup. Let me tell you something that happened to me in one of the interesting matches Ghana played, 1971-72, towards the end of the year. Asante Kotoko had a match with Engelbert. We will talk about it later. When I went, the match was played in Kinshasa. And on the occasion of the match, I had to go as usual to the management of the team for the lineup. I don't know, I had a stopwatch hanging around my neck, and I thought maybe they thought it was a talisman or something. So while I was waiting to be given the lineup, somebody came out of the group, the management group, and spat into my face. I was down. And my heart started beating. I thought I should do something to the man. But then I remembered that I was alone with the group, alone. And we were right up, the stadium, the Tata Rafale Stadium was like a fortress. Like a fortress, very big and very high. And if I dared do the wrong thing, they could just twist me down, twist my neck and leave me there. Nobody would know. So immediately I had to put myself under control. And I got out of that accident. That when we talk about that match, this incident will be part of it. You need to have a lot of self-control. You take good care of your voice. Anything that will affect your voice, you avoid it. One of them is alcohol. So these are some of the interesting tips that any commentator who wants to make a name in that business has to reckon with.
How do you stay non-partisan in a game where your national team is playing against a team from another part of the
very
world?
Interesting question. I listened to the English European Championship. The finals were played just last Sunday. I listened to it, and I noticed that the English commentators, they knew a lot about their team, but not much about the visiting team. So most of the time, most of the commentary was about the other thing was what? Manchester City, yeah. They were okay with Manchester City, but not so much with
Inter Milan.
Milan. Inter Milan. They were calling Inter Milan right through the commentary. They were only using Inter. And I wanted to find out why they were not calling Inter Milan. At least in parts of the commentary, they should do that, but they didn't. I remember the World Cup match. It was between England and a foreign team. I listened to that commentary, 1966. The English commentator, they never mentioned the name of any of the foreign team. All right through them, it was always English players they knew. And this is it's a fault. It's a very bad thing in commentary rendition. How do you overcome that? It falls within your preparation for the assignment, which you must read about the team. Once the fixture is there, you should read about the team even before the day of it, and then a few days or the day of the match, you have to be very close to the visiting team, so that you. And people were wondering how some of us could pronounce the names of foreign players when they were not in Ghana. You know, it's all part of preparation.
So you ask for how the name is pronounced and then you practice it?
Oh, yes. On the day you're collecting the lineup, go straight to the manager of a team. Say, please, how do you pronounce this particular name? How do you do that? How do you do that?
Just curious, what is the hardest name you've ever had to pronounce in your sporting career?
It's difficult to remember right now. But I think there were a few. There were a few. Di Stefano, for instance, it stretches you a bit. Di Stefano. Well, he was, I don't know whether he's still alive. He was a strategic player in the Real Madrid team.
So you have to get his name right.
Yeah, you want to get a name. He had a nickname, they would use it.
So, thank you for those tips. I'm sure current modern day commentators would learn a lot from that.
They have to. Commentary, let me repeat, it's not just a matter of shouting. It isn't a matter of shouting. And, you know, there's a lot to it than that. And if you want to do commentary properly, then you've got to take notice of it.
Awesome.
And I intend, pretty soon, organizing a workshop for the up-and-coming commentaries of today. I intend doing that.
Awesome. Just
to help them, because I listen to some of them. A few of them are very good. They sound, you know, they sound very well. Some of them haven't got the thing yet, but I think if I can do a course for them, maybe a day or two, it will be very good.
Let's come back all the way to the beginning on this historic match between the Black Star, Ghana, and Real Madrid. What is your abiding memory of this particular game as we end this?
The memory of this abiding game and my abiding realization, the thing that really got me was the silence when the score was leveled. The stadium, a noisy place normally, was very quiet. And I use the expression, icy silence, icy. Silence descended upon the stadium. And you couldn't believe that a few minutes before, there were people shouting and making noise. It impressed me, and I'll never forget it.
Thank you very much for sharing your memories of that August 1962 game between the Black Star of Ghana and Real Madrid. This has been Down Memory Lane with Mr. Joe Lartey, celebrated Ghanaian commentator.
Thank you very much, Kafiu. Thank you for asking me to do this for the benefit of the present generation. Time runs, and we've passed through a lot, but we are still around by the grace of Almighty God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.